I'm a Latino. I love dancing with that groove. It's natural in me, I guess. For us, it's very difficult to describe it because you just feel it. I think we hear that music, ooh. It's because the music makes you want to dance.
David Machicado has always loved to dance.
I started dancing just at home, when I was a little kid. I guess it was always a part of my life.
But growing up in Lima, Peru in the 1990s, he didn't see a lot of opportunities to pursue dance as a career. Instead, he went to college and started studying communications. But dance was always in the back of his head. So at 19, when a friend suggested he take some classes, David found a nearby space and tried it out.
And from the moment I stepped in, I just fell in love with it.
The dance studio belonged to a Peruvian ballerina.
At some point, she decided to create this space to kind of like rescue people from the streets, that she saw potential. And she turned literally her backyard into kind of like a space for that. It was like a huge garage, and I was like, whoa, I saw people dancing, practicing, so I stepped in.
From that moment on, he was hooked. For nearly a decade, David trained at this space.
And that's how I kind of like found myself in dance. I think every dancer should be able to find their own style. Some people feel more like, hey, like more like hip hop. Some people feel more like with the rumba, with the salsa.
After perfecting his craft for many years, David auditioned for a performance troupe.
I got in and I felt so good. And they gave us the opportunity to teach like very basic classes. I fell in love with teaching. And the great thing about dance, what are you more in touch with your own body? This is your element. And making that connection between your soul and what you're feeling and your instrument, it's magical.
David made a name for himself teaching, choreographing, and even performing in competitions in Peru.
In Lima, the dance community and the dance industry wasn't really big. So I was there when this started to catch up, and I was being called here and there, and it was amazing.
But then something beautiful happened. He fell in love with a New Yorker. And in 2017, David left his home in Peru and moved to the Big Apple.
I came here and I was scared. I was happy to be with my partner finally, but professionally, I was very intimidated because I was already 30. I had no idea how long it was gonna take me to get back to the position that I was when I was in Lima.
After settling into life in Astoria, David married his longtime partner.
My husband was the one who actually told me, like, you're in New York City. If you don't put yourself out there, nobody's gonna see you.
He printed copies of his now extensive resume and walked to studios around the boroughs, spotlighting a decade's worth of dance experience.
This one studio finally kind of like was interested on my stuff, and they called me. That's how I started teaching again here. I just kind of like got my spirit back. I felt a little more confident again, and I just decided to do it more and more.
Now David is bringing his talents to dance studios all across New York City, teaching hip-hop, jazz funk, stiletto heels, and reggaeton rhythm to students who can't seem to get enough.
The very first time that I decided to teach reggaeton here in the city, in New York, I thought I was only gonna have Latinos, in my class. And now you will find people, from Asia, from Europe, from North America, and they're loving it. Bounce, bounce, ho, ha, ha, hey, hey.
And at the end of the day, the message he leaves behind for his students is so much bigger than that of a traditional 8-count.
For me, dance saved me, and I feel like it keeps saving other people's life. If you want it, keep holding to it and make it happen. You can do anything you want as long as you really want it. I think, I wanted to be a dancer, and I had no idea that I was able to until I actually put myself in there, and I was like, wow, yeah, I can make it. I started late. I started 19. There's always ways to do things, okay? If you want it, go ahead and do it. Don't let that dream, just die.